Have you ever wondered, after the age of 70, is intimacy still a sweet experience, or has it become a silent risk to your health? Many seniors believe that as long as there is desire, it's okay to continue. But the truth is far more complex, and sometimes much more dangerous. There are secrets no one talks about, consequences that could cost you your safety, your physical well-being, and even your mental health. In today's video, we're going to reveal 6 shocking truths you need to know right now. Make sure to hit subscribe and watch until the end, because the knowledge you're about to gain might just change how you view health and intimacy in old age. This is one of the most private yet powerful emotions that many older men never admit, not even to themselves. It's not because they lack experience, and it's not because they're shy. It's because the feeling of rejection at age 70 is not the same as when you were 30. It's no longer a small bruise to the ego. It can feel like a direct blow to your sense of self-worth. This fear doesn't necessarily come from the other person. In fact, it often comes from within. It's that quiet voice in your head when you step out of the shower, when you look at yourself in the mirror, when you think about touching someone you love. Am I still attractive? Does she still want me? What if my body doesn't respond the way it used to? And from there, you begin to protect yourself. Not by fighting, but by retreating. You start finding reasons to delay intimacy, tiredness, back pain, too much on your mind. And gradually, something that was once a source of joy and connection becomes a landscape filled with hesitation and doubt. Take, for example, Daniel, 74, a former energetic physical education teacher. He and his wife had remained close for decades. But after undergoing prostate surgery and struggling with some changes in his sexual function, he began to pull away. Not because he didn't love her, but because he feared seeing disappointment in her eyes. He feared she would think he was no longer her man. But the truth was, his wife never thought that. The only thing that broke her heart was feeling pushed away without knowing why. When they finally sat down to talk, not about sex, but about emotions, vulnerability, and fear, something remarkable happened. They didn't just reconnect physically. They discovered a deeper level of emotional intimacy than ever before. So, if you feel like the fear of rejection is holding you back, understand this. It's not weakness. It's an invitation to be courageous. Not courageous in proving yourself, but courageous in being honest. At this age, you don't need to play the role of an invincible hero. You've lived through so much, you've loved, you've lost, you've learned, you've sacrificed. And now, true sensuality comes from authenticity. It's in daring to say, I feel like I'm changing. Can you walk with me through this journey? That kind of sharing is the glue that binds. It softens fears. It heals distance. It creates a form of intimacy that can't be reached through physical acts alone. And remember, if you're a man watching this video, feeling something shift within yourself, you are not alone. Millions of men your age are trying to redefine closeness, trying to make peace with a body and mind that are evolving day by day. There is nothing shameful in needing reassurance. There is nothing weak about wanting to be understood. Sex, when rooted in trust, acceptance, and compassion, can become a profoundly healing experience. So if you find yourself pulling away, pause. Ask yourself, is it that I no longer want to, or am I simply afraid? If it's fear, take one small step forward, not physically, but emotionally. A gentle word, a loving gaze, a caring gesture. Sometimes it's these small things that spark the beginning of something miraculous. The real secret isn't restoring your performance from when you were 30. The real secret is having the courage to show up with all the truth and sincerity you carry at age 70. Because it's not just about intimacy, it's about the courage to be loved as you are, right now. After many years of living together, you might think that you and your partner know everything about each other, every preference, every habit, every shadow in the soul. But in truth, there is one thing many older men never realize. The ability to create a new kind of intimacy, deeper and more profound, can begin the moment they let go of the pressure to always be strong. Because only when you let go of the need to perform can you truly be present. Intimacy in old age is not a continuation of what you had at 30. It is a rediscovery, where the body is no longer a tool, but a bridge. Where every touch doesn't need to be fast, but needs to be genuine. Where a single glance can make two people feel deeply connected. Real intimacy doesn't come from strength, it comes from willingness. Willingness to slow down. Willingness to listen. And willingness to be seen, not just with the eyes, but with the heart. There's a truth that few dare to speak. Many older men still carry fear. Fear of not being what they used to be. Fear of no longer being attractive. Fear of being a burden. These feelings, when buried, build distance. But when shared, they can become the glue that holds a relationship even tighter. Instead of hiding, choose to share. Instead of silence, try whispering the things you've never dared to say. Remember, you don't need to be perfect to be loved. You only need to be honest. Because what makes a man attractive in later life isn't a flawless body, it's a heart that never stops learning how to love, no matter how many seasons it has weathered. A 76-year-old man once shared, he and his wife hadn't been physically intimate in nearly a year, because he believed she no longer needed it. But one night, she held his hand and said, "I don't need you to do anything, I just need you to lie next to me and tell me what you're feeling." He said that moment made him feel more deeply loved than at any other time in his life. Not because of desire fulfilled, but because he was heard, understood, and accepted, completely, with every mark that time had left on his body. Sex after 70, when nurtured with patience and honesty, doesn't diminish. It can actually become one of the deepest forms of connection. In fact, this is when you can love without fear of loss. Be close without being ruled by ego. To hold the hand of someone who has seen you grow old, and still chooses to stay, that's the kind of intimacy no pill could ever provide. And if you're experiencing a body that no longer cooperates, as it once did, know that you are not alone. Talk to your doctor, your partner, and most importantly, yourself. Be honest about what you need and what you're afraid of. That honesty is the real medicine, not just a little blue pill or the pressure to push past limits. Intimacy doesn't mean you have to perform, it means you dare to stay. Dare to let the other person see your vulnerability. Dare to let them touch what's imperfect. And dare to believe that love doesn't have to burn brightly to still glow, warm enough for two people who have walked through more than half a century of life. Don't let age make you believe that the door to love has closed. In truth, it's just opening to a new room, where the light doesn't come from a lamp, but from the understanding between two hearts. There is one thing that very few people say outright to older men. Intimacy doesn't end when you leave the bed. In fact, the most important part might only just begin afterward. In that moment when the breath starts to slow down, when gentle silence blankets two bodies once aflame with desire, that is when the truth emerges. Was this truly a moment of connection, or merely a fleeting physical act? For many older men, this is a transformation they were never taught to navigate. They've been conditioned to see intimacy as an achievement, a way to prove their masculinity, to show that age hasn't taken everything. But they forget that true intimacy is not about physical ability. It's about presence, mental, emotional, and spiritual. The whispered words after intimacy, a gentle stroke through a partner's hair, or simply holding hands in silence. These seemingly small acts are the glue that binds two people growing old together. Not everyone knows this. And fewer still have the courage to admit they may have missed it. A 74-year-old man once told me that after his wife passed away, what he missed the most wasn't the passionate nights, but the moment she would turn to him and smile gently, saying, "I'm so happy we're still here like this." That one simple sentence, for him, captured a lifetime of connection. He now wishes he had said more loving words after each time they made love. He wishes he had listened more, held her longer, instead of rolling over to sleep out of exhaustion. Older men are often haunted by the notion of being able or unable, believing their manhood is something that must be preserved at all costs. But the truth is, none of us can escape the changes that come with aging. The body slows down, hormones decline, and emotions, at times, become more fragile than ever. But that doesn't mean intimacy has to fade. On the contrary, this is when the heart's connection can speak the loudest. Did you know? A simple gesture after lovemaking can act like a medicine that restores trust. When you look into your partner's eyes and whisper, "I really treasure this," You're not just talking about physical closeness. You're telling them they are still loved, still needed, still desired. And that can heal the quiet wounds that aging often brings. And if you're someone who lives alone or has lost your partner, these words are still for you. Because intimacy doesn't always require a physical presence or another person. Sometimes, learning to care for yourself, embracing your own body, speaking kindly to yourself after years of self-criticism, is a deeply intimate act. You can begin by reflecting on what you once overlooked, not to regret, but to live differently from now on. You can open a conversation with your partner, not about performance, but about emotions. Ask them, what makes you feel loved after we're close? That question isn't weak. It's an act of bravery. It's the first step to building a relationship that doesn't end in the bedroom but stretches across daily life. Breakfast together, laughter, a warm glance while watching an old movie. Once you realize that the emotions after sex aren't an add-on but the foundation of connection, you'll begin to see that age doesn't diminish intimacy, it simply changes how you approach it. From focusing on performance, you shift to presence. From trying to prove something, you begin to express your true self. And that is what makes you an attractive man. Not because of what you can do, but because you understand what truly matters. Old age is not the end of intimacy. It is an invitation to love more deeply, to listen more attentively, and to slow down enough to feel each heartbeat in a shared touch. That is true intimacy. And it has always been within your reach, so long as you are willing to open your heart and receive it.